It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Katafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Katafamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we are talking about the nonprofit Home for New Beginnings, and in studio with me is Executive Director Pamela Barton, and also Divine Pies Kitchen Manager Jenny Langmack, which we will talk about Divine Pies as well. Ladies, thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start out from the beginning. What is Home for New Beginnings?
Home for New Beginnings, it's a nonprofit, and we started this in 2016. And the mission of Home for New Beginnings is for us to provide homes for displaced children. And what that means is there are a lot of children that's parents end up in prison, and for different reasons they don't have a home. Yeah. Our foster care system is failing terribly. There aren't enough homes. So
you try to
homeless. They're homeless.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to provide a solution to that.
Correct. Correct.
You know, we talked a little bit beforehand, just kind of the homelessness issue. Obviously, homelessness affects every community, every city, every state in different ways. But you know, here in the Verde Valley, with children being homeless, I mean, it's terrible.
It is terrible, and you know, there's. The only solution is to provide a home. And, you know, the children that we want to take care of are ages 6 to 17 years old. And it's easy to provide homes for adults.
Yes.
And, I mean, not easy, it's all of a lot of work. But for younger children, it's a lot harder because there's a lot more regulations. And our model is Sunshine Acres in Mesa, Arizona, who's been very successful since 1954. And, you know, we just want a nice, loving, safe environment for these children. When Child Protective Services comes in and arrests parents for drugs and hauls them off to jail, the children are taken into their custody. And what made me want to start this is I saw them going into the office of CPS and sleeping on the floor.
You were a CASA as well, yes?
Yes, I was a CASA for about 8 years. Yeah. And so it was like, well, these kids need to go to a home where they're loved, and you know, the trauma and the PTSD is very relevant in these children's lives. Right. So that's why we decided, you know, it was a group effort and to start Home for New Beginnings. And so that's our goal, is to provide homes for children, which is a big goal. And there's a lot of groups and organizations in the Verde Valley that
well, we've had them on the show a few times, you know, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Yavapai County. Obviously, CASA is a huge one. We'll actually have them in this Thursday. So there are, obviously, I mean, we just talked about it. There are options for kids, but in terms of housing for homeless kids, I have not seen one. And it seems like this could be possibly that solution to that problem.
There aren't. And, you know, we've looked and gotten a lot of statistics of what's going on in the Yavapai County. And there are actually 4 beds. There were 4 beds at the time available. 4 boys were the only beds available for children.
Do you think that, where do you think that issue stems from? Is it just, I mean, I know we have a housing issue in general here in Yavapai County, but, I mean, why is there not this sort of idea? Why is it just not already? I mean, there's no, like you said, 4 homes for these kids who are homeless. I'm sure there's more than 4
beds.
Yeah, well, no, more than 4 homeless kids.
Yeah. Right. You know, there's group homes, and they're overcrowded. Mingus Mountain has got a behavioral health group home, and there's like 160 girls there. You know, it's a horrendous environment. And, you know, there are, in Maricopa County and around the state, different group homes, but I visited a lot of those group homes, and they're not that nice. Yeah. And we want to provide a loving, good, safe environment for these children and give them a future, give them hope for the future, teach them how to bake and cook, and, you know, anyway, give them a chance to a good life.
And I think also too, with these different group homes and stuff like that, you have to meet certain criteria. I used to work for another local nonprofit where to get services you have to meet a certain criteria. So as far as, well, I just don't have a home. Well, it's like, okay, well, do you have a drug issue? No, I just don't have a home. Yeah. That could also be a barrier too. You don't have to have another issue.
Right.
You just don't have a home,
and
or you don't have any next of kin to help take care of you.
Right.
So that should just be your criteria, not do you have any other underlining problems.
Yeah, it shouldn't be I'm homeless and also I have a drug problem.
Right.
I mean, because the point is you're taking these kids from those situations and trying to provide them a alternative life of going, look, there are people here who care and want to see you succeed. These people don't want to see you do drugs or have any issues that your parent or guardian might be going through, or maybe they're in a household that isn't the best. Yeah. You talked a little bit about group homes. This is not a group home, as we talked about. But can we talk sort of some of the differences between what maybe some people might think about when it comes to group housing?
Well, the category is group home.
Right.
That is what, and that's for 10 or more children.
Okay.
That's the difference in a foster home and a group home. And, what we want to provide is a 5-bedroom, 10 kids per home, house parents in each home to take care of the children. So you have to have a home for girls, you have to have a home for boys, you have to make it secure and safe.
Right.
And you provide all of the services that they need. There's a lot of services. They have to go to school, they might have to have therapy, so it's a lot of things involved, and that's why nobody really wants to do it, because it's a big job.
Yeah.
But to me, I sometimes feel like I'm not capable of doing this, but somebody's got to try to do it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
If you want to find out any more information about Homes for New Beginnings, go to homefornewbeginnings.com. Their phone number is also 928-248-3434 for information about the organization and where to donate. We'll talk about volunteers a little bit later. There is a lot of good things about this organization, and they are still sort of building up a little bit. You guys have been around since 2016, but still gaining a little bit more traction, and hopefully soon it will get a bit more funding for you guys.
Well, we lost a lot of groundwork with COVID.
Right.
When COVID hit, it's like we are starting from scratch again, because, we have to do events, we have to get out in the community,
right.
We have to be involved in the community, and all that shut down. The grant cycle has changed. People are writing grants for different things. So everything has changed. I feel like I'm starting from scratch. But the problem's worse.
Yeah.
That's what's happened with all of this. The kids need us more than they did before this.
Right, especially with the pandemic.
Correct. So what we really do need is the community to pull together and for people to donate to us and help us, volunteer for us. There's probably 800 nonprofits in the Verde Valley, and we all have a good cause.
Of course.
But we all have to pull together as a community, and we would like to start a collaboration of some of these different groups to pull together, because you can get much larger grants when you pull together. So we're working on a collaboration here in the Verde Valley to get the different groups to pull together, because the main focus is our children.
Yeah.
Again,
homefornewbeginnings.com. That is with the number 4. You see right there on your screen, but if you are listening on the radio, homefornewbeginnings.com. Again, 928-248-3434. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will talk more about Home for New Beginnings and where Divine Pies fits into the equation. Stay with us here on Countywide. We'll be right back.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Welcome back to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking Home for New Beginnings, and my guests in studio today are Executive Director for Home for New Beginnings, Pamela Barton, and next to her is Divine Pies Kitchen Manager Jenny Langmack. We are talking about this nonprofit organization that would like to provide homes, whether building them or just providing homes in general for homeless children in the area. Again, their website is homefornewbeginnings.com. Their phone number is 928-248-3434. Before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about what this organization does, and one of the things we mentioned, of course, was COVID. We did talk about the negatives of COVID, but there was a positive during this pandemic somehow for this particular organization, and it involves Jenny making pies for Divine Pies. So let's start with that, Jenny. Before we get into the COVID thing, how does Divine Pies fit into this, and what does Divine Pies do for this organization?
So Divine Pies is the social enterprise of Home for New Beginnings. With a lot of local nonprofits, they have a social enterprise of thrift stores or anything of that sort, and we wanted to be different, so we came up with Divine Pies. And then in 2019, we had applied for a grant with United Way of Yavapai County. Okay. And in beginning of 2020, we were granted that grant, and then COVID hit, and we still had to use the grant. And our whole plan was to make pies to sell at local restaurants and get our name out there and what the cause is for. Right. Because our ultimate goal for Divine Pies is, with its revenue, to supply some overhead for the homes, whatever needs. Like I said, with the other thrift stores, they supply back to their nonprofit. So that was our goal, but all the restaurants shut down, everything closed down, so we had to get creative as to where we could make our pies and sell our pies. Right. And so that's when our local farmers markets came up. Yes. And so it was wonderful to support our local farmers markets and for them to help support us back. Yes. And we were able to bring in a great revenue for 2020, and that was actually really our great year. Yeah. And to get our name out there. So with our booths, we're able to talk about Home for New Beginnings and what our goal is, and at the same time get people pie orders. And you reel them in with the pies, and then you get them in, you lock it in with the Home for New Beginnings. I like it. Like you mentioned, the farmers market's obviously a big plus for you guys. No pies today, though, I will say directly to the camera. Oops. No pies today, but that's okay. Reeling you in. I know. I'm not fully reeled in yet, but I love this organization. I've over the past couple of days, I've gotten a chance to learn more about it, and speaking with both of you, clearly there's a lot of passion there and trying to solve this problem here in the Verde Valley, which is great, because I love little organizations like this that want to accomplish big things like this, and I really hope that the organization gets a chance to reach its goals, whether that's providing just 2 or 3 houses a year or whatever. I mean, just in general, it'd be great. Again, homefornewbeginnings.com. The phone number is 928-248-3434. There is more with Divine Pies, though, because not only are you guys baking delicious pies, you're also teaching these kids about the food industry. We spoke before we started, and Jenny and Pamela's mother and daughter started in a catering business. Pamela, you had talked earlier that you had a catering business, so you are immersed in the restaurant business. And now you've incorporated that here, where not only these kids are obviously getting pulled out of their horrible situations, or maybe just slightly more difficult situations, and they're learning a skill that they can use forever.
learning to cook is something that, I mean, I did it this morning. I mean, you can cook anytime you want if you know how to do it properly. And as we know, during the pandemic, a lot of people doing home cooking. I would assume there aren't a lot of 8 to 15-year-olds, or I'm sorry, 5 to 17-year-olds who know how to properly cook anything. I didn't. I learned later. But can we talk more about what they learned specifically in this before I answer the question for you?
Yeah, sure. So our goal, same thing with last year, was we wanted to start a homeschool kitchen program, but with schools kind of shut down, it got postponed. So that is our goal for this fall, is to start within the schools, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, CASA programs, to get kids to learn these life skills, because I'm sure a lot of people can agree too, high schools, they don't have home ec anymore.
They do not.
So, you know, with the pandemic and everybody was home, you know, there's food boxes, there's all kinds of things provided, but then what do you do with it afterwards?
Right.
So the goal of Divine Pies is to have these homeschool kitchen program to not only help teach kids how to bake, but to essentially be entrepreneurs and to get into the food industry, because you can go very far with the food industry, and then supply your fridge and how to stock your fridge. Food safety is a huge deal.
Yeah, you said you were more worried about a foodborne illness in your house than you were about the COVID pandemic.
Absolutely. Like after I took my class, I didn't want to go out to eat.
Yeah,
I was
I don't
like,
blame you.
I don't know about it, because it is, the kitchens, commercial kitchens are very clean. There's very strict rules, and if you don't pass them, you don't pass them. When so I get my health inspectors check me out every so often, and I got to pass even with pies. And just learning how to be clean, how to stock your pantries safely, and then just the fundamentals of having a business of what's your overhead when you make your pies? How much do your pie pans cost? Okay, so how much are you going to charge for your pies? And then building that up to, okay, now where are you going to sell your pies? So learning the fundamentals of the business, as well as getting a food handler's card and learning how to provide for yourself, because with a lot of these kids' situations, that's what they're having to do.
Yeah.
So it all ties in.
Volunteers obviously always needed. Where again, homefornewbeginnings.com. If you want more information about volunteers, I'll answer that question myself. But if somebody wants to be a volunteer, what can they expect? And you mentioned AmeriCorps, so let's talk about that, and then we'll go into volunteers.
Well, AmeriCorps, with United Way, the grant that we got, we were blessed with a United Way AmeriCorps Vista intern, and this was put off for a year. Our intern, Erin Young, came from Florida, and it's an incredibly great program. She works for us 35 hours a week, and it's through the NAU, and it's part of her college and her learning and things like that, but she's been a tremendous help to us, and she does our marketing, helps us get our volunteers and all that kind of thing. So it's a huge plus for us, and she'll be with us a year, maybe longer, we hope. But it's a great program, and so that came with the Divine Pies. So this started in January. We got the grant. COVID hit in February. Well, we didn't know what to do, so we went to farmers markets, and actually we were able to put $10,000 in our bank towards capital gains.
That's from selling pies.
From selling pies.
Very clear. That's how good the pies are.
For our first year.
Yes.
For our first year. So we were very successful during COVID, and we're continuing to grow. Now we're in more farmers markets, and you got to try our pies. They are all homemade and from scratch. We do use butter.
Oh, good. I like how. Yeah, that's great. As opposed to using, I don't know, glue or something else that you'd use. No, of course.
Well, we make all of our own crusts, all of our own fillings. They are all made from scratch.
That is.
Nothing is pre-made.
And again, I want to make it clear. No pie. There's no pie here today. So I will have to just take their word for it. But again, homefornewbeginnings.com. Any information about volunteers. We'll talk about events when we come back on the other side of this break. Their phone number is 928-248-3434. And like I mentioned, there are a lot of events coming up, especially one for the Father's Day weekend, which we will talk about. Stay with us here on, I almost set off the bench. So stay with us here on Countywide. We'll be right back.
Terrifying Jobs, Bull Rider, take 2.
Cliff, this seems like a really terrifying job. Why do you do it?
I love protecting the bull riders when they get bucked up.
How big are these bulls?
12 to 2,200 pounds of pure muscle.
You're not cowed by any of this, obviously. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah. Distracted drivers terrify me.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at candbhomes.com.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Welcome back to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking about the nonprofit Home for New Beginnings, and I am speaking with the executive director, Pamela Barton, and also Divine Pies kitchen manager, Jenny Langmack. Both organizations work coincidentally together to help provide better opportunities and possible housing for homeless children here in the Verde Valley, or say in Cottonwood. I do want to say something that I did not say throughout the show. We mentioned the pies. You can order the pies online if you cannot make it out to any of the events that we're going to talk about here in just a second. Again, home, the number 4, newbeginnings.com. Pamela, you wanted to mention something about the volunteers before, when we came back, and I will let you go ahead and say that.
Well, part of the program, because we're a community program, we want the different organizations like CASA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, who it's a mentor program where they deal with the children, and this is a great opportunity for them to come, bring the children, bake together, learn a little bit about the kitchen, but it's a real fun program for them to mentor and be a part of Home for New Beginnings. And we do, we're a nonprofit, so we do encourage volunteers. You do have to get your food handler's card in order to work in the kitchen. We have a new volunteer, and she goes, "Oh, I didn't realize we had to know so much to bake a pie." But you do have to know a lot to learn a commercial kitchen. Okay. But we teach you how to get through that. That's part of the first program, is how to get through the food handlers. And a lot of people, they don't go get a job because they have to get that. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, of course, if you didn't get a chance to catch the first couple segments here, we talked about that. Divine Pies, their involvement in this organization is teaching kids how to, outside of making delicious pies, of course, they are teaching kids how to cook and how to properly put their fridge together, separate foodborne illnesses, not get sick. It's all very basic food knowledge. It is very, very important and provides these kids a secondary opportunity. We have like 2 minutes, so any events coming up, I should say Divine Pies is at the Cornville Market on Thursdays at 2 p.m. If you'd like to go and visit them, Home for New Beginnings, again with the number 4.com. You can order pies online. You can also donate to the organization as well. Events coming up, what are they? Well,
we do have a drawing for a Father's Day golf program, and you can see all of that on our website, and you get pies with that as well, but there's some free golf involved in that for Father's Day. And then this fall, just stay tuned with us. We're going to be, now that COVID has lifted a little bit, we can start getting back into events. Okay. We also have a location here in Cottonwood at 675 East Cottonwood Street at Hidden Treasures, and we have pies there for sale as well, and you can order your pies there. So it's a great place to go visit and order pies. We're also in Happy Jack at the store up there, because it's cooler up there. Yeah. And anyway, we keep expanding, and anyway, try our pies. They're great.
Pamela, Jenny, thank you very much for coming in and talking about this nonprofit organization. Like I mentioned, I hope that you can achieve the goals that you're setting out for, and hopefully we've spread the word a little bit more. Again, home4newbeginnings.com. That is the number 4. Phone number again, 928-248-3434. All these delicious pies, the proceeds go right back into the organization helping out these kids, and you can order them online again, home, the number 4, newbeginnings.com. That is going to do it for this episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Katafamo, wishing you a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.